Nicole Kidman is always regal, graceful, and stunning on the Cannes Film Festival red carpet and Emmy Awards stage. Her face sparkles in the light. Her hair glows gold. Her calm speech and kind glance make her seem flawless. But beneath that appearance is a narrative few could imagine. Nicole Kidman, who has won every major film award, including the Oscars, Emmys, Golden Globes, and BAFTAs, has also lost a child, a husband, a father, and nearly herself to despair. She has been silently abandoned, held the Golden Oscar with an empty heart, and returned home with actual bruises from depicting domestic abuse. She grieved alone in the shower, unsure how to treat her invisible wounds. Nicole didn't just return at 50. Better than ever, she shone. If you've adored Nicole Kidman, this video will move, break, and change your view of her. Nicole Kidman wasn't Hollywood-born. She was raised in Sydney by middle-class intellectuals. Anthony Kidman, a psychologist and scientist, and Janelle, a nurse and feminist activist, were her parents. Nicole said she spent her childhood afternoons playing with test tubes in her father's lab and listening to science, psychology, and human nature stories. She felt free for the first time there. A scientist, character, and dream. When Nicole reached 17, her childhood changed. While studying acting at Melbourne College of the Arts, her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. In a moment, everything fell. Nicole quit school, took care of her mother, and worked as a massage therapist to support the family. She faced disease, death, and life's fragility at 17 and had to become an adult quickly. Watching her mother struggle with physical agony and courage left an indelible impression on her soul, a strong empathy for women, pain, and the silent endurance people bear. Nicole didn't pursue painting for praise. She selected it since she could only express herself there. She did not enter the industry to become a star, but to witness the suffering many other women had undergone but could not acknowledge. She made her movie debut at 15, in a Pat Wilson music video. Her naturally curly red hair and intelligent blue eyes made her stand out, not for perfection, but for distinctiveness. She took a risky part in 1986 romantic comedy Wind Rider. Nicole was 19, unknown, and conscious that she might not receive another shot without a good impression. The film industry was drawn to the role's personal sequences, which were criticized as provocative. Kidman never regretted her choice. She understood it was needed. Nicole braved hardship to be heard in a world that rarely gave young actresses a chance. The fire within her never went out after that. Nicole Kidman was more than talented. She redefined beauty in the 1990s. She entered the film industry with the attractiveness of an Australian swan, pure white complexion, naturally curling red hair, later tinted golden blonde, 1.80 meters tall, and a distinctive aura. She wasn't like American sex symbols, too apparent. Kidman had a cold, pure, and enigmatic beauty that always masked something. She got into Hollywood for more than her looks. Nicole could stop people. Not to look, but to listen. In Dead Calm, 1989, her breakthrough part, she played a lady trapped at sea who confronts a murderer without screams or fleeing, simply with a calm, concentrated gaze. The picture won critical recognition and attracted American directors. Tony Scott paired her opposite Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder. She started her Hollywood career there. Kidman plunged into celebrity with Tom Cruise. Their romance was fated when Days of Thunder was a big office hit. In real life and on TV, they became a golden couple. The press called Nicole the luckiest woman in the world when she married Tom aged 22 in 1990. Nicole maintained a rare sense of elegance and clarity in Hollywood's scandal-ridden society, she remarked. She avoided scandal, stunning words, and magazine coverage. She chose work. She wasn't consumed by fame because of that. She mastered. From Far and Away 1992 to Die For 1995 and Eyes Wide Shut 1999, she showed she wasn't only Tom Cruise's wife, but Nicole Kidman, a lady who could construct a world with a gaze or a line of phrase. Kidman went further than anyone expected from a lovely face, but only talent can keep doors open. However, sorrow silently crept in amid that brilliant light. Nicole Kidman married Tom Cruise on Christmas Day 1990, and the public adored them like a fairy tale. The Australian swan was gentle, clever, and quiet. Hollywood's most formidable action star, he smiled brightly and was famous worldwide. The pair became a symbol of beauty, success, and scandal-free living after appearing on film. Perfect beyond belief. It seemed like Cruise and Kidman were born to share the spotlight, appearing on red carpets, magazine covers, and film projects for over a decade. Far and Away 1992 and Eyes Wide Shut 1999 solidified their standing as the 1990s American film golden couple. But behind that dazzling facade was a lady fading. Nicole married at 22. Later she said, "I was so young. I wonder now, what did I know?" However, she loved profoundly and trustingly as a young child. She believed in love, marriage, and the man holding her hand before millions. After 3 years of marriage, Kidman fell pregnant. Unfortunately, tragedy struck. She suffered physically and emotionally from an ectopic pregnancy. The media miscalled it a miscarriage, increasing the wound. She said no one asked her how she felt, like a horrific trauma you can't talk about. Though Nicole never mentioned it, many noted her deepening silence. She had Isabella and Connor at 27, when she should have been at her peak. Adoption, not birth. It filled a deep loss and was a loving choice. Existence looked stable until 2001. Tom Cruise sent her divorce papers early that year, no warning or explanation. Nicole broke up, recalling that moment, begged him not to leave, not understanding what was happening. "I only knew that I had lost everything in one breath." She was pregnant, making matters worse. Emotional trauma from abandonment caused another miscarriage. Her sole biological child with Cruise. She went from wife and optimistic mother to hollow lady, losing her house and her potential. Nicole said divorce doesn't kill you, but it suffocates you night after night until you learn to breathe on your own. The divorce ended in August 2001. Nicole Kidman won the Oscar for her role as Virginia Woolf in The Hours 2 years later in 2003. Instead of triumph, she was alone. She told Tatler magazine, "I stood under the lights in a custom gown with the golden statue in my hand, and all I could think was, now what? Where to go? Who am I without Tom's wife status?" She felt a lengthy, silent gap at the height of her film career. Nicole lost more than a husband. She lost trust in love, her right to be delicate and rely on others. Even worse, she felt replaced in love and parenthood. Her adoptive children, Isabella and Connor, under the influence of Scientology, moved in with Tom after the divorce and drifted away from her. Maybe no one had seen a woman accept an Oscar so empty. Nicole Kidman continued. After that fall, her rebirth began. Perhaps nothing has made Nicole Kidman feel more helpless than the question, "Am I still a mother if the children I gave birth to in my heart have forgotten me?" After Nicole divorced Tom Cruise, their 2 adopted children, Isabella and Connor, whom she cradled, nurtured, drove to school, and tucked in every night, stayed with their father. The conclusion was not just legal, but also religious, as both had become devout Scientologists, which Nicole no longer was. She remained mute, so she didn't fight. She never told the media her children rejected her. When she accepted her 2017 Emmy and 2018 Golden Globe, Nicole congratulated her 2 biological daughters, Sunday and Faith, and Keith Urban, her second husband. No mention of Isabella and Connor. Did Kidman lose her first 2 children? The press roared. Some criticized her. A mother hidden behind the stage lights observed the two children who had called her mom from afar. Nicole gave Who magazine one sentence in 2018. "I keep that confidential. I would die for my children since that's my purpose." She didn't say we communicate. We didn't drift apart, she said. With those perfectly chosen phrases, everybody understood. Nicole loves unreservedly, without hugs, without being named or invited to her children's milestones. I must be a patient mom. My love follows them no matter their religion or life. Child rearing is the saddest thing. Scientology made her, a mother, an outcast in her family when her child adopted a belief system that says you're no longer trustworthy. Nicole did not retaliate. She hid her love like a scar. Perhaps that's why becoming pregnant with Sunday Rose in 2008 was more than simply a joyous occasion. It was atonement after such devastating loss. Kidman said she still considers Faith Margaret, her 2010 surrogate daughter, a vital part of herself. Love is love, whether you're a biological, adoptive, or surrogate mother. My children and I still have a strong bond, and I never feel like I'm missing anything. Despite more children, that mother's heart has two holes, for Connor and Isabella. A woman's success isn't always evaluated by her awards or memorable performances. It's whether she can hold on to love once her loved ones leave. Nicole Kidman doesn't own her motherhood. Be patient. There's acceptance. It's loving despite the constant quiet. Nicole Kidman thought she would never love again following a divorce that made her feel like she'd lost everything. She was too used to the cold, being left behind, and feeling like no one was on her side. At a 2005 Australian event in Los Angeles, Nicole met Keith Urban, a fellow Australian who had risen to stardom in American country music with melancholy eyes and a lovely voice like a breeze. A man who brought empathy instead of fame, not an action star or prominent director. Nicole said, "I didn't think Keith would notice me because I was a single mother with unhealed scars, and he was dazzling. He was hurt, too. Addiction and depression plagued Keith Urban. Twin souls. Two wounds. Meeting in an unexpected moment changed their lives. Nicole said I phoned him. He never called back. No answer when I called again. I thought, maybe that's our entire fate." He answered the third call. Rest was love beyond any cinematic miracle. June 2006 saw their wedding. Private ceremony in Sydney. No spectacle, no media frenzy, simply a promise to be there in pain and joy. Both understood the gravity of those statements. Just months after their wedding, Keith entered rehab. Nicole stayed. She stayed to fight his demons. It's hard when someone you love is in trouble, but I've lived long enough to realize everyone needs someone who remains. She stayed. Keith subsequently readily stated, "I wouldn't have survived without Nicole." Their daughters were Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. They symbolized a mother's rehabilitation from grief and a father's return from the edge, not just children. They hold hands on red carpets to remind each other they survived, not to brag. In an interview with CBS, Nicole said, "But he's never asked her that. Instead, Keith has been her strongest backer. He critiques scripts and travels countries to be there on the first day of filming. Their marriage is about harmony, not reliance." She revealed how to keep their relationship. "We never text. We call. If he doesn't answer, I call again. And he does too. Hearing each other's voices keeps it real." Nicole and Keith's love feels like a fairy tale retold in a Hollywood world of breakups and betrayals. No magic, just trust and persistence. Daily love fostered. Nicole lost everything to a man, but gentler, steadier love let her find herself again. Nicole Kidman has gone beyond stardom at 50. She represents resilience after loss, beauty that defies time, and the modern woman, bold enough to love, strong enough to let go, and daring enough to live by instinct. even at her expense. Kidman has altered herself in 35 years of acting, cinema, television, theater, and advertising. She has portrayed wounded, ambitious, faithful, and damaged women. Because of that, she's never boring. Nicole once said, "I want the audience to forget I'm Nicole Kidman. They must see the character, not me." She succeeded. Virginia Woolf in The Hours was no more a radiant blonde beauty, but a woman on the brink of brilliance and misery. That portrayal won her the Oscar, but more importantly, it showed that Nicole was more than attractive. She was deep. Big Little Lies pushed Kidman back to the top of television, winning her an Emmy and a Golden Globe as Celeste Wright. Dear Mother, mistreated wife, striving to reclaim her voice. It was the voice of innumerable women who had been silenced for too long, not just a role. Nicole chooses fantastic roles with purpose. Off-screen, she's the same. Kidman fights domestic abuse and promotes women's and children's rights as a UNICEF and UN Women Goodwill Ambassador. Scars don't weaken her. Her acting was forced. She courageously called out showbiz ageism. Why are 50-year-old women only granted mother parts while 50-year-old men can play young women's lovers? I reject that. And she demonstrated it with her work. Still sensual in The Beguiled, still a queen in Aquaman, and still starring in 4 Cannes projects. A remarkable feat given her age. Kidman is the only woman who can play both a goddess and a mortal, according to critics. No scandals or loud social media. Nicole lives her actions softly, meticulously, and fiercely. "I don't need to prove anything anymore," she remarked. "I want to live to please my kids." The awards Nicole Kidman has earned don't define her. She's battled judgment, survived unjust goodbyes, and gone beyond the spotlight to become a whole woman in the most modest way. Some are born to be stars, but others must find their own brightness amid darkness. Nicole Kidman is both. Because her mother had cancer, she dropped out of school at 17 and worked as a massage therapist to support her family. Her husband left her with divorce papers, and she lost a child to betrayal. An actress was insulted and criticized as a lovely face without depth. But she continued. Nicole Kidman failed due to luck. She succeeded because she recognized that grief is part of the journey and that creativity matters only when it comes from the heart. She entered her 50s with regeneration, not sorrow. Nicole remains the center of every red carpet, the pick of top directors, and the lady who challenges the world's assumptions as Hollywood ages women and defines attractiveness by youth. She didn't live loudly. She didn't demand attention. But every part she portrays is a voice for single mothers, devastated women, and anyone who's felt their life was over after one moment of tragedy. Nicole Kidman is everlasting because of her soft, grounded, never harsh voice. She may make many more films. She may retire from the stage gently, just like she did behind the scenes. Nicole Kidman has already made movie history and won over those who believe women should be beautiful and stronger through every scar. See Nicole Kidman's story if you've considered quitting. Share this story if you think genuine art comes from sorrow and truth. Follow our channel to see the next powerful story.